Hi friends, and welcome to my garden. Today is October 19th, and in a couple of days we are expecting our first frost. So it is time to say goodbye to all the summer crops, but also this is a perfect time to reflect on the gardening season and also to slow down. But let's start with where our tomatoes and peppers are growing, because they won't be here in a couple of days. This is the tomato bed that will look very different in a couple of days after the first frost. The tomatoes overall performed very well for me this gardening season, but few varieties deserve a shout out as late season producers. The temperatures now dip into even 37 degrees at night, but some varieties definitely do better than others dealing with that late season. So the first variety that I want to give a shout out to is Prairie Fire. Prairie Fire actually did very well as an early producer and as a late producer. The plant is still loaded with fruits, and it seems that the cold nights, shorter days didn't really slow it down too much. Another variety is Earliana. The plant was so loaded with fruit that the string snapped. That's why it's broken in half. But this was my biggest indeterminate tomato plant, and it just keeps producing, and it just doesn't slow down. And the next variety is Prescott. Prescott just does not slow down, and in addition to that, the plant is so healthy. It does not have any diseases or signs of stress, and it just keeps producing. So these two varieties, I'm very impressed when it comes to producing late. Overall, I have to look back at my notes to evaluate which varieties I will be growing again. Some varieties performed very well in early season. Some varieties were very heavy producers throughout the whole season. So I have to reflect back, but the late season producers are definitely these three varieties that I mentioned. The same with peppers. Some varieties did just better overall. So the varieties that I will definitely grow again, the first one is Beaver Dam. This variety is just a very heavy producer, and it did very well in early season, and also right now it basically produces till frost. The next pepper variety that started producing very early season and pretty much produces till frost is Buena Mulata. So I will definitely grow it again. It is a hot pepper, and it's loaded with fruit and doesn't seem to be affected too much by 37-degree nights. And another variety that I really like, and I will be most likely growing it again, is Violet Sparkle. This is the only sweet pepper variety that actually produced for me this year, and is produced early, and it is still producing. In this bed right here, I had brassicas growing in early spring, and this cauliflower I really want to show you guys, because the first head of this cauliflower I harvested probably the beginning of the summer, and I let the plant be just in the ground because I didn't really have anything to plant in its place. And I'm so glad that I left it here, because it produced another head. So sometimes it's just a good idea to leave it. And despite of the heat of the summer, despite of the pest pressure, it had aphids, it still produced a new cauliflower for me. In this bed, we had onions growing. They produced so much food for us. The bulbs were huge, and we harvested so many. So now we just have to figure out how to store them. And if we figure that out, we will have food throughout the winter and probably all the way till spring. I will put a picture of our harvest because I don't think I captured it on the video. Right now I'm prepping this bed to plant garlic. This is horse manure that I was able to get from a trusted source, and I composted it for about 6 weeks, and the pile got very hot, up to 160 degrees even at times. So it is composted, but I will still leave it for a few days just to rest before I plant the garlic. When it comes to garlic, the only mistake that I did is I did not plant enough. We had very good garlic harvest, but I just did not plant enough. That's why for next year I will plant more garlic. So I designated this whole bed just for garlic. And in this bed, this is an experiment. We had potatoes growing here, and potatoes did very well, but the tubers were not that big. So I think the only change that I will do next year, I will maybe designate half of the bed and plant them more densely. But let's take a look at this. This is the new addition to the garden. My plan is to grow winter greens over the winter. So the greens that I planted in this space that I will be protecting with the plastic cover are mostly Asian greens, but also some spinach and lettuce. And the idea here is to overwinter them. That's why I have this plastic here that hopefully will protect from extreme temperatures and maybe also snow. I'm in zone 6, so hopefully this experiment will work out. The only thing that needs to happen, they have to put on more growth. Oh, they're still small. They are not big enough to harvest, but I still have about a month until the daylight temperatures will also drop. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that I'll be able to harvest greens throughout the winter, but we'll see. I will keep you guys posted. In this bed, we have leeks growing, and one thing that I want to try is to leave the leeks in the ground and just test it out whether I can just harvest them from the ground as needed. I'm planning on doing similar experiment with beets and carrots. The only thing that beets and carrots I just planted too late, so they are not mature enough. So next year I'll try it, but this year I'll try it with leeks. If this experiment works out, then it will just save me on figuring out how to process them or figuring out how to store them. I'll be just able to just leave them in the ground, and if I need them for cooking, to just harvest what I need. One more thing that I want to show you guys that can actually, just like leaving leeks in the ground, that can maybe save me some time, is the cover crop. Let's go back to tomato bed and I'll show you what else I have growing there. This is winter rye. I planted it about 2 weeks ago, and the idea here is for winter rye to just grow throughout the winter. And what it does for the soil, it provides that living root that feeds the microbes over the winter, and as a result, microbes feed the soil. So it is in a way fertilizing. But also my plan is come spring to just cut it down and use it as mulch for tomatoes and peppers that will be growing here again next year. So if this experiment works out, it will also save me some time that I have to spend on amending the soil, also on weeding, because it will also serve as a weed suppression. For example, with the garlic bed right there, I was lucky enough to get my hands on horse manure, but it took a lot of work. I had to haul it, spread it, compost it first. So hopefully planting cover crop will save me that work. So we'll see. I will definitely keep you posted on how this experiment works out. I hope you all had fruitful gardening season of 2022. And if you have any tips or tricks that you would like to share with us, please leave it in a comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.